Today is February 3rd. It's about 50 degrees, so the sap is running and it's time to tap the maple trees. We keep everything in one bag, all the fittings for the two different sizes of taps. I'm gonna start with the smaller drill bit here, and we have paint marked where to stop. You wanna tap on the sunny side of the tree because we actually ran this experiment last year and you get about 40% more sap because the sun is heating that side of the tree. You wanna drill at a little bit of a downward angle so the sap kind of runs out. You can see the sap is already running out of the hole. It's dripping right there. Now we'll go ahead and put the tap in, and then with the back of the drill, just gonna tap it in there. It doesn't need to be very tight. You don't want to hit it in with a hammer or else you might actually crack. Now we want to put the bucket on flat ground where it's solid and it's flat. You don't want it at an angle because when the bucket fills up, it might tip over. It's actually not that it might tip over. If the bucket is at an angle, it will tip over. We've definitely had that happen. We've got a larger maple tree, and we're also going to use a larger tap. You can see the drill bit's bigger here, and that allows for a bigger tap to put in there, which does give you more sap. I'm going to go on the sunny side of the tree at a little bit of that downward angle. The drill is definitely having a hard time getting in there just because of that screw on the front. It's pulling it in, and the drill's having a hard time keeping up that pace. And look at that, it's actually already dripping sap. We haven't gone in very far. There we go, that's our final depth. This is definitely the right day to be tapping this. There's just sap dripping all over the place. We're gonna use a little bit of a larger tap. That's why I drilled a bigger hole. And then we'll tap that in. You want it to be nice and tight in there, secured. And it's dripping, but you don't want it to split the bark. If you really pound it in there, whenever everything kind of settles, it might actually split the tree, which is the lids on these buckets are extremely important. It keeps all of the rainwater out. If you don't have the lid, it'll take a lot longer to boil all the sap out. Because this is a larger tree, we're gonna do two different taps, one on this side, and I'm gonna do another one on this side. You can actually see, here's last year's tap. You almost can't tell it's there. And the year before that, you just can't see it. It basically heals all the way over. I'm gonna drill at a different level than this one, but still making sure that I'm in the sun. The day whenever it switches from like below freezing or freezing up to a high temperature like 50 degrees, that's the day you want to come out and tap these trees because that's when the sap just starts flowing. And I mean, you can see the sap is just flowing out. You can just see how much that sap is just flowing out of there. There's a lot. You just have to make sure you get all the angles right. It's a little bit trickier with these red tubes. We'll stabilize underneath it with some sticks so that's stable. Here's a little bit of a larger tree. We're only gonna put one tap in here just because we have limited taps. And you can see here's the bigger tap, and right below it's the smaller tap, and they're both almost completely filled in. Everything is nice and secure with this tap, so let's move on to the next tree. We mark which trees are maple so we can see which ones we need to tap from a distance. I think one of the major problems I was having was I had it on high. I switched it to low, which gears everything down and gives the drill more power. I forgot that I had it on high. It's important to put it on low because it works much better. This smaller tree right here has only been draining for about 4 hours, and you can already see how much sap is in the bucket. You can see the bigger tap definitely has a little bit more sap in there, though there might be a crack at the bottom of the bucket. We might need to check that out. That crack has been plastic welded, so it's been fixed. We fixed it last year, so this bucket is good. Just in a few hours, like 4 hours, you already have this much sap. That's a good sign. This one you can see is draining down the tree with sap, so it might be a little loose in there. I'm gonna go ahead and tap it in. Looks like here's the first lightning bug of the year. So here we have a black walnut tree. We've never tried tapping a black walnut tree before. Maple syrup goes for about $65 a gallon, whereas black walnut syrup goes for about $300 to $400 a gallon. So we're gonna give black walnut a try, and I'm curious to see how it works. I know black walnut syrup is supposed to have a little bit more of a nutty taste to it. The sap definitely isn't flowing as much as the maples were, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. All right, and we'll just see how well this works. I'm kind of excited. It's definitely not draining as fast as the maple, but I guess I can expect that. Maybe this is why it's $400 a gallon, because it drains super slow, or you don't get very much and it takes a lot longer to build up the sap. We're gonna put one more tap in about right here. It's always great after a nice long winter to get back into nature whenever it's been really cold out. It's starting to warm up again and it's nice to be outside. And it's fun to do, and you get some really good syrup out of it. It's just fun out here in the woods and tapping the trees and the whole process from start to finish. But once these buckets fill up, we'll boil it down to syrup and you'll see the rest of that process. But this is one of the nicest parts out here in nature.